We are behind in our word count because even though I'm okay with first drafts not being the neatest, when I dictate, it's extra messy, and I don't think it's even good enough for a first draft. The dictating is just like not working for me right now, and one of my goals for this upcoming week is going to be to try and get it a little bit ahead. Hi, welcome to episode 2 of the Rough Draft Diaries, where I am trying to draft 50,000 words of my mountaineering thriller novel in the month of November. And we are making progress, slow progress, but we are plugging away. So let's cue up that intro video. This drafting process has not started easy at all, and at least for now, it's still feeling really tough. So I fell behind on literally the first and second day, and then spent last night writing a whole bunch to catch up. Today, I felt a little burnt out, and writing has been really hard. I've been going at it almost all evening. It's almost 10 p.m., and I've just hit the word count for today. So we are currently at 6,757 words. So we're on track, but just barely. I really want to try and get a bit of a buffer today, maybe try and get a few more hundred words, but I'm exhausted and I need to go to bed so I can wake up refreshed tomorrow morning. We'll try again tomorrow to maybe even get like 2,000 words. I'm just cognizant of the fact that this weekend I'm going on another cabin trip with no internet, no cell service, and I won't be able to bring my computer. So I'm going to be relying on dictation, which is voice to text, and so far it hasn't really been very good to me. I've just been really struggling. It could also be because I'm struggling generally first drafting right now. I have been doing a lot of revision recently up until like September for one of my previous stories, so I feel like my standard right now for my writing is a lot higher, and it's really hard to just write and forget about it. So I've been going back over some of the stuff that I've written, especially because one of the things I was the most nervous about writing this story is that I don't know a lot about mountaineering, and that's what this whole story is centered around. So in the last chapter, we've started to have more technical stuff come up, and I'm gonna have to find a way to either write around it, or it's gonna take a lot more checking and making sure that what I'm saying is correct. I've also had this weird feeling of I don't know that this story feels like mine yet. I feel like a lot of the other thrillers that I've written in the past, they have a piece of me in them, in the sense that I incorporate my own experiences, what I'm interested in, into those stories. Even little pieces of the characters are based on my personality, or like the people that I know or people that I've come across. And not that that isn't true for this story necessarily, but I just don't feel like I have that personal connection yet. It feels almost like foreign, like someone else's story that I'm trying to figure out rather than it coming from me. And that might just be my hyperfixation over, because of this whole mountaineering aspect and feeling like a bit of an imposter. I feel like it makes me feel like an imposter towards the story, maybe. I'm just hoping it goes away over time, especially as we delve more into the emotional arcs, because I feel like that's where I'll connect the most, because everyone can connect to emotion, to story, to feelings, and even if you don't necessarily relate to someone on the surface level concrete details of their life. These are just my late night musings as I struggle through this story and try and justify why it's so difficult, which is why it's probably time for bed. Hi, it's a few days later. It is November 6th, and the tides have officially shifted, and we are doing amazing. So yesterday, I not only hit my word count, the 1667, I went over it, I think by like 500 words, And then this morning, it's about like 9 o'clock right now in the morning, I woke up early, did a bunch of writing, and we are now sitting at 10,896 words. So I've hit my word count for the day. I'm about to go to work. And then when I come back this evening, hopefully I can crank through a bit more. But this is like one of my favorite feelings, is when you've done the writing for the day and everything you do after that is just extra. It takes the pressure off, and I'm honestly feeling so good. I think there are two main reasons why I'm doing so much better than I was, beyond just getting into the groove, the routine, and being at home. I think being at the cabin trip to start threw me off just a little bit. But the first is that I've been doing morning writing, and I find that my brain works best in the morning, and then by the end of the workday, I've used so much of my brain power at work that there's not a lot left for the writing. Whereas now I'm doing my words, at least these first chunk of words, while I'm feeling fresh, while I'm feeling good. Who knows what that'll do for my work productivity, but I'm okay with it. The second thing that I think is helping me get the words down a lot faster is that I've stopped trying to be so careful about how I'm writing. So making sure, that sentence structure is varied, word choice is interesting, paragraph size is varied, getting a mix of dialogue and internal thought and description. I'm kind of just writing how I want to write and letting draft 2 Josie deal with it later. Not to say that it's bad writing, but definitely not something I'd want someone else to read until I've had a chance to go through. What I really like about this type of writing, where you're just throwing stuff out there and seeing what works, is that I feel like it often comes with really interesting last-minute ideas. So I don't know if this is necessarily interesting, but there's a character that I added to this story, and she showed up, I think, a few chapters back. And she's part of the group. So this mountaineering book is centered around a competition of different teams and who can reach the summit first. And it's a whole thing about how it's based in a small town. The competition is not necessarily treating the people of the small town that well. They're kind of making it this big touristy event, kind of like not up to the level of the Olympics, but the idea of like having these influx of outsiders and taking over the space and not really respecting the people who live there. It's also super disorganized. It's the first time this competition's being run. Everything's kind of all over the place. And I've had this one character named Jerry. She works very, very hard, but Jerry is always stressed out, always running around from thing to thing, trying to solve all these problems. And I think it's kind of funny because I don't like coming up with new names. So I've just inserted her every time we've needed a new character as like an event organizer. So at the beginning, she was like helping the character get to their camping area where they're gonna stay before the competition starts. Then the next day, she's working security detail somewhere else. And I just think it's really funny that she's just like kind of popping up everywhere as like the same person. And it's funny for me, and I enjoy writing it like that, but I don't know if I'll keep it that way for the final draft. I feel like it's just such a delicate balance between wanting to write slow enough to really think through the scene and the characters and the dialogue, so nothing that you're writing will be completely scrapped altogether, but also going fast enough that you're not hung up over little words. And I'm starting to feel better about it, but I feel like there's still a little bit of resistance that hopefully the further I go along, that'll clear up, and then I can really just enjoy the process of writing this book. Because I won't say that I'm not enjoying writing it. It's feeling like there's a lot more pressure behind this story than a lot of the other NaNoWriMo projects I've done, and it might also be in part because I'm filming this, and there's this element of performing in the sense of, hitting the word count, not just for myself and my story, but also because I'm reporting it to other people, whereas before, nobody cared what word count I got up to. And honestly, you probably don't even care that much, and you're just here seeing how I'm doing, maybe even for motivation for you to write. This week, while I'm trying to get ahead, I think I'm going to add an extra goal of just trying to make it more fun. I'm finally getting to write this story I've wanted to write for a really long time, and I don't want it to feel like a chore. And it's not quite at the level of a chore, but I want to get past this pressure that I've been putting on myself and just really enjoy what I'm doing. I'm just about to sit down and do my writing for the morning, but I want to share that yesterday was really good. I actually crossed the 13,000 word mark, so I have colored in my 13 little squares. Oh god. My 13 squares. I was actually at like 12,000, I think like 600 yesterday, and I wanted to stop, but then I was like, oh, I could get to 13,000. How exciting. So at least yesterday I finished off with basically 3,000 more words than I needed to for the daily tracker. But we're back again in the morning. None of those words matter. We're back to zero, trying to get to 1667. I'm feeling myself want to slack just a little bit because I did so good yesterday that I'm like, oh, does it really matter if I hit the word count? This only works if I'm consistent about hitting that word count every single day. So we're going to see what kind of chunk of writing we can do today, though I feel like after 2 days of exceeding my word count yesterday by quite a bit, I'm happy if today I just hit the 1667 and don't do more than that. So the writing is actually going really well right now. Yesterday I hit my word count by the end of the evening, and today I haven't hit my word count yet. I wrote about like 1,400 words this morning, and I think I won't really have time this evening to do much writing, but I have like all day tomorrow, and I'm hoping to do above and beyond because I feel like not only have I gotten to the flow of drafting in the sense that I'm not paying attention to word choice and sentence structure and stuff like that was slowing me down before, but now I'm actually having a lot of fun, and I feel like as I'm writing I'm getting super engrossed into the story and the world, and I just can't wait to keep writing in this story. And I think about it even when I'm not writing, when I'm just working. It's in the back of my head. I'll see you tomorrow, and hopefully we can get a lot done. Okay, it is Saturday morning, and we have the entire day ahead of us to do some writing, which I'm really excited about. Jonah's taking the car for the day, so I literally couldn't go anywhere if I wanted to. I was thinking about trying to do like a word count today, like trying to hit a certain amount, but I feel like that's just going to put on all this pressure, especially if I aim for a high word count. And I'm already ahead right now, so it's not like I really need to power through. So I think instead I'm going to go for time, where I'm going to try and do a bunch of chunks of writing. And in between I'm going to have to do some shoveling outside because we still haven't dealt with a bunch of the snow that came down a few weeks ago. And so that's why Jonah's taking the one car that's free right now. And if I can do a bit of shoveling, I can maybe make a path to the other car and have it be functional if we need it to. So I'm kind of thinking I'll leapfrog the day with some writing and then some shoveling. First, I'm going to braid my hair, make a cup of tea, and then we're going to get to writing. I have just completed the first 1,000 words of today in just over half an hour, and I'm going to take a quick break here and go shovel some snow because even though I'm feeling really good, I'm really excited to keep going. I do want to pace myself because I'm hoping to write through the afternoon as well. So I don't think I mentioned this in a previous clip, but I have entered Act 2. So the last chapter I wrote was the first chapter of Act 2, and it's also the start of the competition finally, because I've been doing a lot of setup because the characters that are part of the core team that we're following the Canadian team. They know each other from previous things, so there's been a lot of setup for their relationships because they can be a little complicated, and each person has like a different relationship kind of with each other person. And now it's finally competition time. So the last chapter literally ended with them blowing the horn to start the competition. It might seem like it's a little early if you haven't seen my previous episode. So even though I think it's 17,000 words now for the month of November, I did write, I think it was 17,000 words before starting November. So that puts me at like just over 30,000 words as the end of Act 1. So I am a bit further along in the story than it would seem from from just how much I've done in November so far. First round of shoveling, I'm gonna call it here because I'm starting to get sweaty. I still have that bit of distance, but a lot of this is like super packed down because we've walked over it. So I need to use the shovel and kind of etch it out. But I started at that green shovel right there. So I've made this much progress, which feels good, but I'm taking a break because I've been dumping all the snow here. And it's a lot of work because this is an uphill to bring it all the way back. So I think what I may have to do, because we kind of have a big circle driveway, is I have to come this direction. First, dump snow that way, so that way I can dump this snow over there instead of having to bring it back up. But I'm gonna go back in, get some water, get maybe a snack, and then we're gonna go for round 2 of writing. We're going to end the video where we started in the kitchen, and we have just hit 19,025 words, and this is after doing my 3rd little writing session. So I think I wrote something like 27 or 2,800 words today, which isn't amazing, but I had a really good time writing. This means we're just over 2 days ahead of schedule, so I'm at like 19,000 words, and I think it's somewhere around 15,000 is where you should be to be on track on day 9. So that means that I have 2 free days because I'm about to go on a cabin trip leaving tomorrow morning, so I'm gonna have to pack tonight. Part of the reason why I'm gonna stop writing now, even though it's like 4 o'clock. So there's gonna be quite a bit of travel to get there and get back because we'll have to drive as well as ski in. So that means that if I don't get any writing done on the day there or the day coming back, we're gonna be okay. I'm going to be trying to do some dictating while I'm there, and I'm also going to bring a notebook to give myself the option of handwriting if I don't feel like dictation's really working. So that's going to be it for this video. Thank you for watching this far, and then I'm going to start another one tomorrow morning, including that cabin trip. So, see you then.